Hey, Justin here from CBI. 2022 new Tundra, Covert front bumper. Let's go. All right, so first step is we're gonna remove this front clip. Now, I know it looks overwhelming, but they've actually made it pretty simple for us. Just follow along, we'll go through it all. So we have some 10mm bolts inside here. So we'll take those off, pop this fender flare out. We can pop some clips out here. We'll remove this black trim piece. There's a couple 10mm bolts in there. We got some across the top and on the bottom. And also we wanna unplug our wiring right here. But I'm gonna start in here and we'll just work our way around. All right, so to remove this piece, we're just gonna pry down on the top and that'll loosen the top clips. So there's two more on the bottom here. And what we're gonna do is reach up under the bumper and align those straight and push them straight out. And I'll give you a close up of what I'm talking about when we get this piece out. So we'll just reach up through here and you'll be able to feel the clips. Just straighten them out, push them through. All right, so we're under the vehicle. We have four 10mm bolts that we need to take out now, and then we'll jump back on top. Okay, so back up top, we got four more 10mm bolts. We got a couple plastic clips. And then depending on your model, we have four wiring clips that we need to disconnect. So those will be right on top though, super easy to access. So 4 bolts, 2 clips, and unplug your connectors. All right, so now we're over here. We got the front clip laid out. Always good idea to put down a moving blanket or something to protect the grill so you're not scratching it all up. So we're gonna go through and get rid of some of this wiring. We're just gonna move it out of the way using a pry tool. We're also gonna clip a lot of these clips and allow that black bottom piece to come out. So we'll get you a tight shot, but that's basically what we're doing now is getting rid of these clips and moving some wiring. Okay, so we're gonna take out these two sensors just for now, just so we don't risk damaging them when we cut. There's two blue tabs, you just pull those apart and that comes right to you. Talking about our cut line, what we're gonna do is basically the flat part of this, this plastic piece here, we're gonna go straight across and we're just gonna keep that line coming straight across. We're gonna carry that out all the way to this corner, and we're gonna mask this off and protect this because this will stay on the vehicle. This is gonna be an exposed surface. So we're gonna cut out here and then we'll just get a sander and just kind of work that line in basically to the valley of this between these two pieces. That flat part in there, that's where our final cut's gonna end up at. So we'll pop these sensors out, get this masked out and drawn out for you and get you some close-up shots. All right, so we got our initial cut done. Now we're gonna take a smaller cutoff wheel. We're gonna be able to get into these valleys a lot better than the bigger one. And we're also gonna get to sanding. We have to get all this finished out sanding. So we'll go ahead and get on that. All right, so our next step is we're gonna start taking off some of these components here. This grill support, depending on the size of your winch, can stay. If you're running a big winch with the solenoid, that might have to come off. We're gonna use a 10mm to remove this bracket. We got 4 17mm bolts on either side to get this crash bar off. Skid plate's also gonna have to come off. And depending on what model you have, on the Tundras, some models have a electronic air dam that's located right here, has a big flap and a connector that goes to it. This particular model does not have that, so we can proceed just regularly. If your model does have that, we're gonna drop a video with special instructions that show you how to take care of that so that your vehicle will function properly and not throw any check engine lights or any dash warning lights. But again, we don't have that on here, so we're just rocking on. All right, so we have this rubber coolant hose for the intercoolers on this truck. So if you're not running a winch, you can leave it where it's at, perfectly fine. But depending on the winch, if you have a larger one, it's gonna get in the way, so you're gonna wanna relocate that up. So what you're gonna do is remove it out of all the keepers and then pull it up, kind of zip tie it across the top here. But just be extra careful that it's not rubbing on anything sharp and you don't have any kinks in it, just real smooth, easy bends. All right, so next we have these factory plastic caps in the frame. There's one on this side and one on the outside, and same thing on the other frame rail. So we need to pop those out. So just a screwdriver works fine to get those out. Once we get that out, then we'll be ready to install our winch tray. Okay, so really quick, before the winch tray goes up, I just want to explain these kind of spacer brackets really quick. They're gonna go on top of the winch tray, just like this on each side. The other one will go right inside of here. Where we popped out those plastic clips, that's gonna be, the frame's gonna be right here, and the holes where those clips were, we're gonna stick this longer black bolt through the bumper frame, and then out the other side, we'll be able to get a washer and nut on there. So we're gonna do that on both sides with our spacer sitting right in the bottom. So we don't have to worry about putting a winch in right now. The way we designed this bumper, we can get it on the vehicle and then still access this whole area, so you're not having to lift a ton of weight with a winch in it and all that stuff. It's super awesome design. So we'll go ahead and get this over there and get this black bolt started, and then we'll starting our other bolt. All right, so next step is we're gonna get this winch tray secured. So quick pro tip, just because we're gonna have to use a wrench to get a nut pretty far deep inside of the frame, we're gonna take a little bit of electrical tape on this wrench, place the nut in there and kind of get it stuck onto there so that we can use the wrench as kind of a extension to get back there where we need it. But the order of the bolts we're gonna install, we're gonna have a 1/2 inch bolt, a 3/8 bolt, and then another 1/2 inch bolt on each side of the frame that we're gonna have to get. So get everything loosely installed and then come back around and tighten it down. So we'll go ahead and start with our 1/2 inch bolt all the way to the back and work our way to the front. Okay, so the next step, now that we have the 3 bolts on each side tightened down, we're gonna tighten down our long black bolt here on each side. Just use a 3/4 inch socket and hold the inside with the wrench or another socket. You can definitely tell now kind of the shape here and how your winch is gonna be affected by this bracket. So you can kind of test fit your winch. Again, this may or may not clear. This is just kind of a lower grill support. But once you get your winch, it's gonna be bolted in by these 4 bolts here. So you can get that tightened down and get these bolts tightened down, and then we'll get our second piece on. Okay, so now we're gonna install these brackets. Now these are just kind of tying some of the factory plastic into the bumper so that it's secured. So they're gonna install in these slotted holes on each side of the bumper. You'll have one on each side. And we're gonna use these 1/4 inch carriage bolts to put them on. Orientation is they're just gonna go just like that, kind of with this flat part facing down. And then you'll just take your carriage bolts, insert them through the back side here, and be good to go. Okay, so our next step, we have our 3 bolts tightened down on both sides of the frame. We're gonna tighten up our longer black bolt with a 3/4 inch socket and wrench. Also, if you're installing a winch, now is definitely the time to do that using the 4 holes here. You can kind of see how the grill support is gonna affect that. This may or may not need to come off depending on the size of your winch. But on your winch, you'll need to unbolt the motor and rotate it to where the clutch is facing this way. So this is designed to be able to reach through the face and access the clutch, because due to the design that Toyota gave us here, you don't really have room to come down from the top and access the winch clutch. So read the instructions on your winch manufacturer for your specific winch to be able to unbolt that, rotate it forward, and tighten everything back down. So we'll get all that done, and then we'll get the face on this thing. All right, so bolting this face on is pretty simple. So we're just gonna reuse our factory bolt on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Okay, we got that started. Now on the top, we're gonna take this 3/8 bolt with a washer, come from behind and sandwich in this thicker washer, kind of spacer in between the frame and the bumper, and then of course washer and nut on this side. So this is a little difficult to do. You might drop it. I might drop it 6 times, but just kind of get everything lined up. And then washer and the nut. So we'll repeat this on the other side and then come back and tighten it all down. All right, so everything's tightened down. We're ready to get the grill on. If you do have the bull bar version of this bumper, you can slide the grill behind the bull bar. You may just want to use some protective tape or some padding in there so you don't scratch anything. But without that bull bar, we're ready to throw the grill right on. All right, so now we're gonna tie in our factory plastic to our brackets we installed in our bumper. So you can see here, here's our bracket. This is the factory setup. So we got our 1/4 inch bolt washer. We stick that through, put a washer on top, and then get your nut started. We're gonna use a 7/16 to tighten this up. But just make sure that the plastic is not rubbing on the bumper right here. So kind of hold it in the place that that it's clear of everything and that everything's kind of even, and then get it tightened down. We're gonna repeat the same steps on the other side. Okay, so now we got our brackets tied in. Basically the home stretch, we're just gonna start putting everything back, all our factory stuff. So our skid plate's gonna go back on. We got a few 10mm bolts down here, up the side, on top, and don't forget to plug your sensors in. So we'll get all that tied back in right now. All right, guys, that sums up our install of the 2022 Toyota Tundra front covert bumper. Super awesome truck. We're happy to have it. Definitely stay tuned for more products to come on this truck. It's gonna be fully transformed to CBI and Prinsu. It's gonna be awesome. Definitely check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos like this.